What's going on, family? So check this out. I'm in the process of working on my master's degree in Christian ministry, right? And one of my professors this week asked us to select a verse or section from the book of Job, Ecclesiastes, and Proverbs that best sum that book up, right? So the verses that God allowed me to select, I believe personally, are direct representations of how we should interact within our relationship with God. Because these verses represent trust, these verses represent understanding and submission, characteristics that we desperately need to strengthen our relationship with God. And I want to take a moment to be able to go through each one of these characteristics along with these verses to give you a better understanding on why. So the first verse that I want to talk about is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 7. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you the path to take." And this verse represents trust. It represents trusting God with everything that you have inside of you. Leaning on to him. It's pretty much telling us we need to step outside of ourselves and allow him to step inside of us, because it is nothing that we can do for ourselves that is better than what he can do for us. And we need to be able to relinquish our own will for our lives over to him so that we can fully embrace his will for our life. Because a lot of times when we don't trust in what God's will for our lives is, we end up getting in the way of that will in our lives and preventing ourselves from receiving the blessings, receiving the lessons and the things that he wants to give us in this season of our lives. So we need to be able to put ourselves in a position of trust. We need to be able to put ourselves in a position of fully and solely relying on him and not on our own understanding. We need to be able to relinquish all of these emotions, all of these feelings. You need to be able to relinquish that relationship, those financial problems that you have. You need to be able to give all of those things over to him and trust that he is going to do everything that he said he is going to do, because he is a faithful God who will do what he said he's going to do. That is one thing that we don't have to worry about. The next verse comes from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 13. It says this: "Fear God and obey his command." Right here, this verse is talking about submission. We need to be able to submit to the commands of God. We need to be able to submit to the instructions of God, because it is through that submission that we get proper guidance of where we need to go and what we need to do in this life. When we fail to submit, now we're walking around like they talk about, like it says in the book of Ephesians, you're walking around, Ephesians, you're walking around thoughtlessly. You don't have no clear direction of where you need to go. You don't have no clear direction of what you need to do in your life. So we need to put ourselves in a position where we're fearing God and we're obeying the commands that he set before us, because the commands that he's giving us is a roadmap to what he needs us to do. So first, yes, we need to be able to be in a trusting position, to be able to trust God and what he's doing within our lives and trust his will over our lives. After we find ourselves in a trusting position, now we need to be able to submit to what he has for us and what he's doing in our lives. We need to be able to obey his commands. We need to be able to obey his instructions. We need to be able to hear his voice as he speaks to us. We need to be able to see what he needs us to see as he's showing it to us. And the last thing, it comes from the book of Job. Job chapter 42, verse 2, and it says this: "Then Job replied to the Lord, I know that you can do anything and no one can stop you." Right here, Job gets to a point of understanding the true power of God. After everything that he's gone through, everything that he's lost, everything that he's suffered, he's gotten to a point of true understanding of God's power, of God's will, and understanding it is nothing and nobody that can stop his will. Whatever God's will for your life is, his will is going to be done, regardless if you like it or not. You can either learn to embrace it up front, or you can learn to suffer later on down the line. I choose to embrace it up front. When God tells me to do something, when he instructs me to do something, I take it for what it is and I do it. Because I don't ever want to put myself in a difficult or complicated situation within my life by disobeying what God is telling me. And so I feel like these characteristics are direct representations of how we need to interact within our relationship with God. We need to be able to trust him. We need to be able to trust him, because it is through that trust that we get the guidance that we need. It is through that trust that we understand that, you know what, we're not just enough. We're not. We need God within our lives, and we need to be able to lean on to his understanding, because the understanding that we have in certain situations will lead us astray. We need to be able to submit to his will for our lives. We need to be able to submit to the commands that he's given us, the direction that he's provided us, the instructions that he is telling us. We need to find ourselves in a place of submitting. And I know, man, sometimes it's hard to submit, but we also have to find ourselves in a position of submitting to the will of God. You have to. And on top of submitting, we have to find ourselves in an understanding position, understanding who God is, understanding why he does what he does, and understanding what it is that he needs us to do. And I believe if we follow those characteristics, we're able to strengthen that bond that we have with God. We're able to strengthen the communication that we have with God, and we're able to strengthen ourselves in the positions that he has us in. He's not asking us for much. He's not. He just wants us to be obedient to what he's put out for us. He wants us to be obedient to his will. He wants us to follow the directions and the instructions that he's providing us. So we have to learn to trust him. We have to learn to submit to the mission that he has for us. We have to understand who he is, why he does what he does, and the power that he's possessing. And the things that he's able to do within our lives, the things that he's able to change within our lives. You may not be in the best financial situation in your life right now. That is okay. Continue to trust God. Continue to submit to his will. Continue to understand why you're going through this situation and understand what he's about to do in this situation. Your relationship may not be the best right now. That is okay. Continue to trust God. Continue to submit to him. Continue to gain understanding. Your parenting, it may not be the best. Your kids may be driving you crazy and you feel as if you're not doing a good job. That is okay. I'm here to tell you, first of all, you are doing a great job, but I'm also here to tell you, continue to lean on him. Continue to seek him. Continue to submit to him. Continue to understand. Gain that understanding that you need. Every day is not going to be perfect, but every day is not going to be bad either. God is about to change your life. He is about to do something so amazing in your life right now. But he needs you to strengthen the relationship that you have with him. He needs you to come closer to him, and he's going to come closer to you. You need to be able to purify yourself and cleanse yourself of anything that is defiling your spirit and your body right now, because he wants all of you. Take yourself outside of yourself and allow God to come inside. Allow him to come inside of you and work within you. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. God is about to do something amazing, and I hope you know that. I hope you know that. Y'all stay tuned. Love y'all.